The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Straight up. Just go out to LA. The new anthem. California Love Part 2. To live in LA. West side, west side, west side. To live in LA, where everybody try to fatten their pocket. So many hustle for the cash, so it's hard to knock it. Everybody got their own thing, currency chasing. Worldwide through the hard times, worrying faces. Shed tears as we bury brothers close.
Well, hello. God bless you, community family. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah.
Yes.
I think that covers them all. But
yes.
We're here in studio again as we end out our part in this effort, in this radio podcast effort, and welcoming some guests for special reasons, because we spent a lot of work time with them, and we think they deserve to be acknowledged and shown off and talked to, because we found in this work that it's the communication that's critically important for our community. So we want to welcome our guest, Terrence Bernard Shepard. He's been here many times before.
Yes.
He's brought a panel of young men that were anxious to discuss this. And he's also joined us many times when we were on the radio before you could see us. So, Terrence, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And why don't you, well, I already gave me your name, but why don't you take a moment to tell a little bit about what you've been doing and who this precious little girl is?
Well, thank you. This precious little girl is my youngest daughter, Miracle. Say hi, Miracle. Shy Miracle today.
That's all right.
As far as what I've been doing, I've just been kind of slow pace, but getting back involved.
Well, actually, you were really involved in a very big event that just happened recently in the Vermont Square.
Yes.
Where Curran Price has been working with local folks there, and once again had another Christmas event where he brought snow.
Right. Well, that was, I just was helping promote it for the area. Curran Price and a brother KD, that's from around over there in the area on Vermont Square Park. And the fellas over there, the brothers and sisters over there. So I was doing more promotions than anything. Unfortunately, I was unable to make it there, though I was still doing some of God's services and work at that time.
Well, that's the beauty about it. You've had a past, and you've come back and recovered and working on the right part of this, the right side of this table now. And so we can't diminish that, because it's the most important thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
Whether you slow down or not, the fact is that you're working on this side of the table now, and that's the encouragement that we want to share.
Right.
That things have gotten better.
Much
better.
You're
qualified to speak for that area, and how things have changed. And
a lot has changed. A lot of the young fellas are more interested in getting jobs and going to school. Young lady, she is going to culinary school. She wasn't here. The other Thai lease that was here, she moved out of state, but she's working and everything. So everybody's doing better to try to improve their life.
Yeah, that's the beauty about this. And I actually went to Ceasefire last night, and we had a chance to discuss who we are and how we got here and what we're doing. And the most important thing that we wanted to convey is that people like you showed up.
Right.
People like me showed up.
Right.
Members of Ceasefire and Watch Gang Task Force are people that showed up.
Right.
And they came for the same reason, to find a way to create a peace amongst ourselves, especially for our children.
Right.
And that the men that have been through it don't continue the cycle and don't regress. Don't step backwards.
Right.
That's the most important message that you have to share tonight. So, as I have said, that this is the end of my occupying this seat.
And I had to make it.
Yes, and you had to make it. Well, yeah.
Didn't want to let you down. All myself or the
and
viewers.
Look, I blackmailed you. I did. Yeah, it wasn't okay for you to just tell me you were sick today. That was just not going to do. Right. So I had to blackmail you because it's a special occasion for me.
Okay.
Let me change that. See, my friend has high blood pressure, and I want you to see this big old cup of caffeinated coffee.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
From 7-Eleven. That's trucker brew.
Yeah.
That's trucker brew.
Right.
With your high blood pressure, you got no business drinking that.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about you, but open your box and see why it was important for you to come tonight.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, thank you very much. Gang Talk Radio Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Terrence Bernard Shepard. Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you, too.
God bless you.
I appreciate you all.
Well, you know what?
That's nice.
That's to show how much we appreciate men like you that have been committed to it, that haven't been afraid to come around crazy people like me, grieving mothers, strange corners that you may not be welcome at. And that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of commitment, Terrence. And so it's very important for me as I'm making this exit to acknowledge some special folks.
You will be missed. You will be missed.
Well,
I wish it wasn't going to happen, but
I'll be remembered. But the point is, this seat should be occupied with the next wave.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with that. I've been at this too long. I've been at this longer than I thought I would. But as somebody I respect told me very early, this didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to be fixed overnight.
Right.
Okay, so we've been at it a long time.
Right.
And the beauty is that things have changed. The homicides are down.
Yes.
Okay, we haven't eliminated them all, but they certainly are far lower than what they were when I started.
Right.
Yeah, so I asked you to come here tonight to talk about some of these things, and you had a friend that was supposed to join us.
Yes. He had ran into some difficulties, but he's all right. But he apologized that he couldn't make it.
Well, it's not the apology, it's the difficulties that kept him from this, and I was sorry to hear the reason that he wasn't able to make it, because we do realize that some folks are not awake.
Right.
They're not awake. They're still living in darkness. And our job is to try to wake them up. Make them understand that's a bottomless pit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can't sit here for the next hour and just nod your head and say, right.
I got you.
Yeah, you got to say something.
Well, it's a blessing. Things are changing. People are becoming more aware of I would say their identity of who they are, or at least searching and seeking to find out who they truly are. A lot of people, but there's a lot of different ways and knowledge to find that out. So there's still, to me, I wish that we, as the black race, would come together with an open mind on those issues, because as we find different ways to discover who we are, rather than have a closed mind and bicker over who's right or wrong. It's like a story in the Bible, Corinthians, I think it's chapter 12, where Paul talks about one body in many parts, and each part is important for the body. So as we discover who we are and our identities of who we are, if we can have an open mind and work together for the one body. Some people had to be the hands, some people had to be the foot, the eyes, but it's still one body with many parts, under one mind, under one spirit.
Right.
Because once we learn that we all do serve up under one spirit, I think that we'll become more our relations with each other, an acceptance of who we are from the past and who we are today. Yeah. Like the other night, we were at one of these clubs, and it was some brothers from the jungle area there. And there was some of us giving a brother a farewell, going away party. But the beauty about it is that we were able to be there and talk and be in that type of venue where no violence had happened.
Right.
And everybody was there to enjoy themselves. And if we can all understand that, especially for the safety of the innocent people, the public, and the children, like at parks and malls or whatever, if we can come to that, just a beginning point. I'm not saying that it's going to stop anything, but it would be a beginning point if we can all come to that understanding that when you're in these type of venues and areas, you know, it's no need to ask anybody who they are, where they're from, and all that type of stuff. That you in this area, because I can't be the one to say that I have the remedy to every problem, because in reality, 9 out of 10, the problems don't start over gang-related issues. It could be behind women and relationships.
That has happened.
Right, money, or just different things.
That has happened too.
I had a friend of mine that just lost 2 daughters. $2. It was on the news in the Westchester area.
Oh, Westchester, right. That was the boyfriend.
The boyfriend, right.
Well, you know, the sad reality is that happened in another part of the city too. Mother and daughter. Or are we talking about the same case?
The sister, they were 2 sisters.
2 sisters in Hawthorne, Westchester. But then there was a mother and daughter killed by a living boyfriend. They're looking for him right now in another part of the city. So, you know, the point is domestic violence is its own disease. It's its own nightmare that does maybe cross over into the gang arena, but it's not a gang-led event. That's a domestic violence. And, you know, Candy Lewis is our expert at bullying. Only she deals with teen dating and bullying and that kind of thing. But bullying will grow up to become domestic violence in some kind of way. So, you know, it's not exclusive to the black community.
No.
Domestic violence is not. And so as they gave the statistics, the homicide statistics last night, for the city county-wide, the numbers are higher than I like, okay? And I don't mean that I like, but they're higher than I expected. The problem with those statistics is that they include the county, they include death by robbery, death by domestic violence, and then you throw the gang homicide in there. See, which really throws it off. Because I have to give credit to South Bureau. They have started to separate those crimes so they know what is a gang-related. And those numbers are going down where generic murder, you know, has its own place. And the generic murder does include the robbery and domestic violence deaths and things like that. So we don't like to lump that in because we're here for gang homicide. That's what we're trying to put an end to. I'd love to end domestic violence, but that's not my arena. Okay? We're trying to stop our children from filling up the cemeteries and the prisons. So that's our agenda. You and I stood on the corner for a few times.
Sometimes, you know, for me, I kind of believe, like, in, for instance, domestic violence with the man, to want to put his hands on a woman is based on the fear, because these days a lot of women are becoming empowered with themselves and really learning how to deal with their emotional difficulties, because women are more intuitive than men. Well, more emotional. The men are more logical thinkers. And so when that happens and a man realizes that he can't control a woman by her emotions or anything, and she's starting to be her own identity and independency, it makes the man feel more inferior. You know, we already, especially the black man, and with a feeling of inferior because we're placed at the bottom of the pole in this life.
And in fairness to our men, they have to understand it's always been that way. Always. We talked about this the last time you were on the show, that the target's always been on your back.
It is.
unlike any other man in this country, the target has always been on the back of a black man.
Right.
Okay, from slavery on through to lynching, on through to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the bombings. First time this country was ever bombed was in the race riots at Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the 20s, when they wanted to annihilate, they wanted to destroy Black Wall Street.
Right.
And that was a hate that even they're not honest about the death toll to the black community. They're not honest about it, and it's a cover-up, and it's a shame and disgrace against this country that a black community that was managing and had their own stores, had ownership in the town, and owned the banks, and we're handling business, and Ashley, successful,
right?
Okay, is competing against another urban community that was jealous of their success,
right?
And so in those times, it was very easy for a black man to be found guilty, even with he wasn't even in the area,
right?
Even if he wasn't in the area. And the sad excuse that they used in those days was, as with Emmett Till in '55, he was disrespectful to a white woman. Okay, and that's been the number one charge against the black man that led to the destruction of our families, your death, our mothers having to take your children and go figure out what we're going to do now. So, when you talk about that black man being challenged by a black woman succeeding, instead of him taking that as a challenge, he ought to see that that's the time for him to step up and be the man that we need. That we need. Okay? Don't blame her. Don't take your abuse out on her. Find a way to elevate himself.
In a sense, right.
And those are the kind of conversations I like to have, Terrence. And you've been a part of that dialogue and the meetings that you go to and the mentoring that you do. And, this is a part of our healing.
I don't know why it seems like every time a black man rises to their success or the black culture as a whole, there's some type of method of operation that comes and destroys it. Like, I was doing the research for my class about the Lamert Park area and seeing how William H. Lamert came, and it was upper middle for the Caucasians. Then the Asians came after World War II, and then when the blacks came in the 60s and the late 60s, it was one of the United States nation's most richest area for black people.
Right.
And so how do we go from there to the 70s on down to where it became an area of poverty, but it's really not. No. But it was put out there like it was.
Well, first of all, what you passed over was that Lamert wanted to keep it white.
Right.
Okay, and that's a problem we have still with the name Lamert Park.
Right.
Because he was a real estate agent.
Right.
And he sold the property to keep it white.
Right.
Okay. And the truth is, when you say the 60s, there used to be a covenant in the city. I like for us to understand that our beginning was in Watts as a black community, as a people in the city. When we came from the South, Watts was the only place we could go.
Right.
We couldn't live in the valley. There's no way black folks was going to live in Inglewood or Hawthorne or Westchester. No way. You were not allowed, okay? And so Central Avenue was our Sunset Boulevard because Sammy Davis and Lena Horne and, Dorothy Dandridge and people of their caliber had to stay at the Dunbar Hotel on Central Avenue because they couldn't stay in the hotels where they were performing.
Okay.
They were not allowed on that part of town unless they were working. And then, the rule, after dark, get out of town. Go back where you came from.
Right.
It applied. You see, so it's important for us as a people to understand our history so we can understand the nightmare we're overcoming right now.
Right.
See, because we were never like this before. I was raised by the village, and we like to pound our chest and say, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, that's what raised me.
Right.
And my parents were part of the struggle, just a generation up from slavery.
Right.
Their parents were slaves.
Right.
You see, or in that era. So they became the builders. She's a rebuilder.
Right.
her and her peer group, and the ones that are 25 on down are the rebuilders. They're going to bring the village back to some kind of understanding.
Right. We have to guide them and train them and give them what we know, what we learned, and the do's and don'ts. That's what I feel. That's what I believe all our experiences was for, especially. It's particularly mine because it was my experience. So I could take what may have appeared to be bad and mistakes and utilize it as assets and values to help the next person. I can't force anybody which way to go, but I can give them the do's and don'ts, and this is what happened to me, and this is what happened when I started applying myself this way.
Well, but you know what? Generically, your story just goes over so many heads in our community, all around us. That story repeats itself, and so many of our young men that got caught up the same way you got caught up. And it was a big trick. Right. Okay, it was a big trick. And I believe that once we as a people look at the bigger picture and see how that virus hurt us and turned us against ourselves, then we'll have a better understanding of what to tell them, to make sure we don't go back on that path. Oh, we have a phone call. Okay. I'm glad you saw it because I was so busy running my mouth I didn't see the song.
All right.
Hello, caller. Can you hear us? Hello? Hello, caller? Oh, they hung up? Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's all right. Sometimes we get a phone call. Sometimes it works. It's okay. Well, we see our Lord. This is miracle, okay?
The innocence.
Uh-huh.
Without a care in the world right now.
No, and it's okay. She shouldn't have a care in the world. And she's in her daddy's arms, and that's the best picture that our mothers could see right now. Right. See our children in the arms of their fathers, Because I hate to say it this way, but we've carried the weight for so long. Right. We've carried the weight for so long, and some of us have gotten frustrated and angry and just not going to do that anymore kind of attitude. And so we have to understand that we are in this together. And the truth is that the way President Obama was treated and the way that, they're still trying to damage him, you can see it doesn't. It's like my parents told me as a child. And Oprah can attest to this. No matter how big you get, how important you get, how rich you get, somebody's going to remind you you're still just an imp. Right. Okay, they're going to remind you. And so I've seen that. I've had it. Oprah saw it. President Obama saw it. His beautiful wife, Michelle, saw it. His two precious daughters had to be victimized by that. In this century. See, so it's just affirmation that we are responsible for ourselves as a people. And we owe ourselves to take care of ourselves and make sure they're taken care of. Right. And that's the greatest thing that was taken from us when it pulled you out of the neighborhood. Right,
because she's out of 7 of my children, to be honest, she's the first one I ever really raised. And just for the man to know, if you were a deadbeat, that you can't become a father again, but to get back immediate in the children's lives and think they're going to come with really open arms is not going to happen. I'm learning that. But I love it. I don't pity pot over it. It just teaches me to learn how to be more patient, tolerant, to really go into prayers, because I need to know what to do. Right. Because like I said, with the ego and with the world's definition on what a man and a father should be, if I uphold to those standards and place myself so quickly on such high standards where I'm not at yet, then I feel like a failure. And then I want to give up. I'm just saying that could happen to discourage me, because those things kind of happened to me before in my experience. Like when I was recovering after doing the time in the penitentiary, I had 3 other children, and this was when I was off and on with my drug addiction, and so I finally got another period of sobriety, and I felt as though it was, let me try to help and get back in my kid's life so fast.
Right.
But I'm on GR. So I'm trying to break half of all of that with them. And I couldn't, but it's not about the money. It was really more about the time that I spent with them.
Well, you know what the truth is? Teenagers are in a mindset of their own. And it really starts right here.
Right.
Okay? Because once they learn how to say no, everything changes. Everything changes, Miracle. Yes, it does, little girl. Yes, it does.
Right.
Yes, it does. Can you hear me talking to you? You hear me call your name? Now you see yourself on TV.
Right.
Yeah, we was trying to get you to sit down, and you didn't want to. Now we can't get you to sit down.
It's just my greatest hope, like with generations before, to not want to see these children have to go up and go through all the hardship and headaches that I've experienced, And I look at that with because a lot of things that the elders told me growing up, whether they were guys that were we call winos, but had knowledge that would tell us right and wrong on the streets, from neighbors, grandparents, family, mothers, fathers, those things stuck. And so I understand now.
You understand now. Well, it's the nature of teenagers. They don't want to listen to their parents. No. They really don't. It's like they're trying to find themselves, and the first thing they like to tell mom and dad is, "You don't understand what I'm going through.
Right.
You don't understand." It's like I never was 15 before.
Right.
Nope, I never met a schoolyard bully.
Right.
I never got called out of my name. You know, you don't know nothing about that. And it's like, come on.
Right.
So it's and especially in 2018 with all these things that are bombarding our kids with social media and Snapchat and the news. Right. They have much more pressure on them than we had.
Right.
Your pressure was getting along with that element that had taken over your community and living through it.
Right.
Living through it, as was mine. And mine was not only living through it, it was raising my children under that threat.
Right.
Under that threat.
Right. You did a good job, though, because none of them got involved in gangs, right?
What? There's nobody that skated by this. Nobody. And there was allegiance. Okay, maybe not jumped in, but loyalty. Okay, and wearing the colors of our community.
Right.
Which it took me a while to understand that's what I was looking at. Because, as I said, I started in '88, and I didn't really... It took me quite a while to understand what I was looking at. Right. And my first reaction was fear.
Right.
That was my first reaction. Somebody's going to kill our kids.
Right.
Because they're going to go out and present themselves as a target.
Right.
Okay, and that's what they were doing.
Right.
And so, this was the pressure that our children had to live under.
Right.
Some survived and some did not.
Right.
You see, but it was forced on them. They didn't have a choice. If you lived in that neighborhood, you had to be loyal to it. There was the expectation that you're loyal to it.
Right.
You see, and so that happened from Watts to Inglewood to the 10 freeway to San Pedro.
Right.
So nobody really was immune.
Right. But and at the same time, even though I don't agree with a lot of the, let's say, how can I say it? Violence or the negative behaviors within the gang culture, but if when people realize that it's not really all bad either, it wasn't designed to really be all bad. There were some people that had good intents within that gang culture, and some of the policies or principles within the gang culture were for the good and for the help the community. But to me, like you said with social media, I believe just like when the CETA program did in the 70s, when they brought out Cotton Goes to Harlem, Superfly, all these things, after the movement was designed to get the mindset to be like, I'm going to be like that.
Right.
Then I remember when Colors came out. Now everybody wants to be a gang member in the way Colors appears what a gang member should be. So now when you look at social media and you see people worldwide now wanting to be a part of a gang, but they only imitate what they think that the gang culture is supposed to be.
Right.
Because if you get somebody, and I've witnessed this on social media, I won't say particular which ones.
Okay.
But you get somebody talking positive about some things that can be from a gang culture. Why would that person go to such and such jail or be taken down? But you show fights and all that stuff all day long. It's like you could promote that on social media.
You can promote that.
But something positive or something like that, take that down. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what? See, this is the power that we have forfeit.
Right.
We have forfeit. And what took it was the killings.
Right.
The killings, us killing ourselves.
Right.
We took a major step backwards. And I'm sorry to say this, at the enjoyment of others. It's like, yeah, you black folks go over there and just kill yourselves, and that's all right, see, because whoever's left social services is going to cut you a check and have you go sit like that lady in New York, sitting on the floor waiting for a voucher for 4 hours, and only to have them drag her and drag her baby out of her arms. Right. You see, this is a kind of injustice that we're being subjected to because they're holding that against us, and they have decided that we have no value, so we don't need to be respected. We don't need to. We don't deserve some consideration. It's okay for a mother to sit on the floor in the social service office holding her child for 4 hours. That's okay. You see, and the problem I have with it is that we have stepped backwards so much that mother has no choice but to do that. You see, and so when I say, you know, our men have to prepare themselves, they have to prepare themselves in the truth.
In the truth. The truth,
yes.
For what's right.
Yes.
Just like when I used to have a certain particular preconceived idea about the Black Panther Party before I really studied and learned what the Black Panther Party was really about and all the things that the Black Panther Party have done. But according to what I've seen on media or heard, it was almost like a negative thing until I studied and learned and seen what they were really about in the movements, the free lunches and everything that they were doing. And one thing that I noticed, they said that we have a right to bear arms. Now, right to bear arms doesn't mean that you want to bear arms and just start shooting up the town, but you have a right to bear arms to protect yourself. That's in the amendments. And we see that when they learned that, the Panthers learned that, they said, oh, this is never going to happen again. Give all them guys felonies. Because felonies can't carry guns. And then we're going to start stripping all these guns from these people. And when it comes to people shooting guns and just doing it in the shooting down the innocent, we have to look at, they're not even looking at the police department like that.
No. And two, let's not jump over the fact. Where did all them dang guns come from?
Exactly.
Okay, all those guns and all these gang members have been shooting at each other across a fence, across the street, across the boulevard. Where did all them dang guns come from? Okay, when a black man doesn't have a Second Amendment right. Oh, no. You know, as Meek Mill said, how is it possible you can believe a black man surrounded by white cops points a gun at them and lives to tell the story? That just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
And that's what he was trying to make people see. And I'm not sure it went over some folks' heads. But that's the truth right there. What black man in this country can stand in front of one or two officers with a gun pointed at them and walk away to tell the story?
That's not happening.
It's not happening.
No.
See, so that was his answer to these false charges that put him. And I mean, they have just done him. I can't believe that the man, after has been on probation for 11 years, and the same judge has been trying to violate and put him back in prison for riding his bike, doing a wheelie.
We don't get justice.
We don't get justice.
The truth is we don't get justice. And they say ignorant of the law is inexcusable. But they don't even give us law books and courses out here. I mean, it's simple to find if you direct somebody to the law library and all that. But how many people out there on the streets are going to be interested, especially with the struggles going on?
It doesn't matter, because there's a double standard in the law.
Right.
There's one law for black folks.
Right.
And then the best part of the laws are for everybody else,
right.
Okay, except the brown people.
Right.
Okay, see, so we have to be honest about this. This is how we always survive, by being a people living and dealing with the truth.
Right.
Yeah, we've had to. We haven't had a choice. And, as I said, Oprah thought she was doing great. Mm-hmm. And she was. She was doing real good, making lots of money until she endorsed Barack Obama.
Right.
Okay? And it cost her fan base.
Right.
I mean, they came after her with malicious intent. Mm-hmm. Because she endorsed this black man for president. She hasn't wet nursed you long enough yet.
Right.
She's still not your friend.
Right.
You show that, you're okay as long as you stay in your lane, but you step over to here.
Right. You ain't good.
I'm coming after you.
Right.
You see, and this is the thing that we always use to protect ourselves as a community unified, because nobody was safe from it. And this is a sickness that we're coming out of, this sense of self-destruction at our own hands.
Right.
That's what has to change. You're a leader for that, because you have to share that understanding with the next generation that they're being misused.
Right.
This whole thing was a misuse of us as a people, and that the spreading of that poison.
Right.
The spreading of that poison for money is what costs us so much.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a three-dimensional world.
Yeah.
Materialistic.
Well, it always has been materialistic.
Right.
You can ask the Native Americans.
Right.
I mean, because I hate to spend time talking bad about other people when there's so much that we need to do for ourselves. And it doesn't make our situation better to keep pointing fingers at somebody else when we really got to get in that mirror and see what we need to do.
Right.
And as I have suggested over the years, if you don't want to come stand next to me and Terrence, you could at least pray for our success.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Find God and pray for us. Pray for our own salvation.
Right.
Pray for the protection of our babies.
Right.
Everybody's babies, but make sure you include ours too.
And that's just another form of the body. Like I said, everybody has a part to play, even if it's just praying, like you say. You want to stand next to us on the front line, say a prayer. Mm-hmm. Make some phone calls. Mm-hmm. Be an encourager in another form. Everybody doesn't have to get out on the front line in the streets, because maybe they're not made for that, but they have a part, an important piece.
Right.
And like you said, when a village comes together to raise a child, that means everybody has some type of role to play in this child's life that can help mold them for a better way of living. And then we'll have a better way of life in society.
Well, we are in the rebuilding phase. We really are, the recovery, and I'm happy to be able to say that, really, because for years I had young people tell me, "You're never going to stop this." Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, yes, we are. We may not be able to save you, but that one standing behind you don't look like he want to go along with your program. So why don't you move out of his way and let him just come on over here with us?
Right.
You see, and so it's been that kind of challenge, and they found that they didn't really want it to be that way, but they were expressing their frustration. You're never going to end this. Mm-hmm. That was their frustration and fear. Mm-hmm. But did they want to see it end? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, so we're living in that now. They want something else.
Yeah, they want something different.
They want something else.
They're tired. Even the youngsters. They don't want to live that way.
No.
They don't want to. That's why it's slowing down on the numbers of those becoming recruited and getting involved. They don't want to live that way. And then, like I say, it is good that a lot of the ones that have been involved are encouraging them to do something else in life. Mm-hmm. There's more than being a sports player. There's other things in life.
There are other things.
Be a fireman or a doctor, a lawyer. There's a whole lot of things in this world.
Be the tax man. Right. Okay, do the tax forms. Right. Okay, that's a good living at least a few times a year. And, you can do so many tax accounts, tax forms that it can take care of you for 6 months.
Right.
You see, but that's a trade.
Because I believe that we also should implement a lot of teachings about from all the way back to ancient, all the way through our history. There were so many black great people and inventors and everything that are not known.
Yes.
You know, was that Lewis Lattimore with the lights?
Yeah.
You know, they need to know all of these people. You know, I can't remember the lady name with the hot comb.
Oh, C.J. Walker.
Right.
Right. Madam.
Right.
C.J. Walker,
right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that if we were to, like you said, history is important, and they see that, that's inspiration. That's something to say, I am somebody.
Yeah.
Rather than what you showed me that I was supposed to be because of roots.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
or Tarzan. I'm following Tarzan through the jungle because they look like me. You know what I mean?
Tarzan. That's a. I'm gonna leave Tarzan alone because it just take me in a whole different attitude about that guy in the jungle.
And it's up to us to do it, like you said. Yeah. It's up to us. If someone wants to make that and it's us doing that, then why not us support it? You know, just like I don't want to get deep into it, the football thing. Mostly all these players are black and everything, and you don't kneel. It wasn't because of the cause that everybody. This man can stand up. That's the leader of the nation of the United States, but he doesn't have to do this. But he wants somebody to kneel for another cause. But this man is kneeling for a cause, and if they say this sanction, whatever, you guys are the players that's making all the money. Without you guys, there would be no money. So
thank you.
Say, I don't care.
Yeah,
because if we don't have nothing, you're going broke.
You know what? If the black players understood the power they had and weren't sold out to that dollar, they could shut that thing down.
Right.
They could shut it down. There wouldn't be no more football. And you know, Dallas, I can't stand to hear a Dallas friend on Facebook. I'm so sorry because I really want to go after it. I really do. It's like, don't tell me nothing about Dallas.
Right.
No, because that Dallas owner, no. You're a slave master in 2018, and you're terrifying your players with a check and threats.
Right. Right.
What makes you any different from that slave owner?
Right.
And the sad thing is that they're kowtowing to it. They're yielding to it. It's he's gonna mess up my money.
Right.
Well, if you locked arms with the player next to you and the player next to that and make that circle, he can't harm all of you.
Right.
And that's the foolishness of it. And then you have the leader in the White House call them an SOB.
Exactly. Right.
You call their mama a bitch.
Right.
And you're the president of this country.
Right.
And we say nothing.
Nothing. We let it fly by.
And the players is like, yeah, I guess my mama's a bitch then.
Right.
Really?
Right.
And you keep playing for this guy in Texas. Really?
Right.
And his son that had an open threat that anybody kneels is going to be cut.
Right.
You can't cut them all.
No.
No.
If you do, your business is going down.
See, and this is where I'm looking at the Black Players Association. What are you guys?
Right.
A joke?
Right.
You know, what's your purpose?
Right.
You're not even protecting the black players.
Right.
What's your purpose?
Right.
You see, so we've got a lot of work, and the most successful thing that was done to us was to divide our nation.
Right.
Divide our nation one way or another. We're divided, and something has become your God instead of God.
Right.
If it's money or bling or material possessions.
Right. Everything but the Most High.
Yeah.
Right. And it's destroying us. He says it, lack of knowledge will destroy my people. Right. And so we lack the knowledge of the truth, buying a lie.
Yeah.
You know, so infatuated with the lies.
Yeah.
Because the lie seems to fill a void that can't be fixed but within.
Well, you know what?
Starting within and outward. But we want to take the outward stuff to try to fix what's broken.
I like to look at the bigger picture. See, because how many you just mentioned it, how many of our young men have been killed by law enforcement.
Right.
Running away.
Right.
Gun or no gun.
Right.
Running away.
Right.
Shot in the back.
Right.
Shot down in the street.
Right.
You see, and so it's like they have devalued your life so much that it's easier just to kill you than to deal with you.
Right.
And our women can't accept that. We cannot. We cannot raise children for that foolishness.
Right.
We have to tell our sons something different. And you know, as much as I know my sons love me, there's a time it's like, yeah, Mom, yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, I know. I hear you, but, you know, can I go now?
Right.
You know, see, so,
I've done that, right?
Yeah, you know, in your manhood, you love Mom,
right.
But at some point, you know, I'm a man, Mom, you know, just, hey, let me go.
Right.
You know, and so that's our frustration in trying to save you, trying to protect you, trying to get you through. And when the black men agreed to be a group and commit violence against us as a people, and groups in every one of our neighborhoods, groups in every one of our neighborhoods, they turned our black men against our black men.
Right. They knew. I mean, it was a way, just a manipulated way to say, okay, there's a bunch of young boys full of anger, and they'll channel this anger this way, and we'll help them. Right, we'll put the temptations out there, and they'll be so discombobulated within that they're going to go this way.
The poverty,
because they can't see a better way.
Yeah,
and that's
the poverty opened that door. Right. The poverty opened that door when that drug came in, because that's what I said last night. Right. It flooded the neighborhood with money and poison.
Right. And I remember before 1987 when I was selling the drugs. And I started looking at what it was doing to the people in the community. I was talking to somebody about it yesterday. And some close friends of mine that were a little older than me, I'm seeing them coming, and I'm like, this is not cool.
Yeah.
So what really made me stop is there was some little kids, about 5 or 6 of them, because I stayed across the street from the elementary school. And they would come home, and they would look like, you know, raggedy clothes and everything. So I would give them money every day to buy some stuff around at the hamburger stand and just to have some money in their pockets, not knowing that their mother was one of my best customers. And she came the last time when I last served her. Well, I didn't serve her that day, but she came with them. And I'm looking, and I'm like, you know them kids? She's like, those my kids. And I'm like, oh, no, you got to take care of your kids. And I looked down, because she always wore a big jacket, and this lady was pregnant. And I said, I'm never, ever going to sell this stuff or mess with crack again. That was 1987.
Yeah.
Now, it's crazy how after going through the penitentiary and all that in 2003, I get right back into it.
But you know what? It was the nature of the beast.
Right.
See, and she's addicted. There's no way for her to handle that addiction. And the baby is going to be born addicted too. Right. You see, so we have some children that we call them crack babies, and I'm sorry, that's not the right thing to say about them. But they were born with that poison in their system. Right. They got taken from their mother in the delivery room once that test came positive for drugs, and built the foster care.
Right.
Built up the foster care and social services. So this disease that they dumped on us has fueled economies.
Right.
The prison population, the mortuaries, the cemeteries, social services have all built up. I don't even know what to call it. Wealth isn't the right word. Right. It's not the right word, but they certainly have. We have subsidized those economies because of this sickness.
And I can see the problem, because like I was saying, to see somebody go through that, see how addictive it was and how deadly it was, 1987. Then turn around getting back involved in 2003 after doing prison terms, and what I could see in my life too at that time is what I've learned. That's why I was saying my friend that was going to come that did a lot of time in prison, but he got out and he's staying according onto a pace. Because like I said last time, we were in the cell together, we used to do all these plans. I drifted because I got involved earlier with the gang intervention stuff like that to try to bring about peace, and we made truces. And the politicians or whoever wasn't coming through fulfilling their But my thing was I was dependent on them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and taking the wrong route. And at the same time, not only I'm not blaming them, I'm looking to catch up with society. I've been away. I had patience in prison to work in a factory or something for a couple of pennies an hour, but I get out here and all of a sudden I get impatient. and I need to get more money, and I need to find a quicker way. And so that's what I say.
You can't pay rent with pennies in L.A.
So those experiences show me, because I'm also thinking about doing a lot of things to get involved with the people of reentry that's coming from prison after doing a lot of time, doing some type of reentry setups and bringing more of what I've learned when I was in there, and now more of a life skill, coping skill.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be simple for a man when he gets out of prison after doing 20 years plus.
Right.
And you out here in this world, technology. Because when I got out and I heard a cell phone, I left with beepers, and the cell phone was this big.
Yes.
And when I got out, they had this thing. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're having to learn all of that. Yeah. So, I understand brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
To having to get out and readjust back into society. And then you get out, and what you left with, which was the gang, wasn't as large. Now you got a large gang. And the mind can go there, well, I got all these, and they looking at me, hey, OG, because you done did all this. The superficial titles, like OG, big homie.
Yeah.
To me, sometimes those are superficial, because when somebody really respects you in that sense, or even a little brother when you respect them. And some people can get out, and they can call them that, big homies and OGs and all that, as a way to pamper you.
Right.
You're gonna do our agenda, but you're the big homie. But this is what we really think, and we're out here and listen to us, for a path of destruction, because sometimes a person can bite on that because they'll feel the struggle is hard. They heard you. Want to say hi? Say hi.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, because she made her screen debut on this show when she was just a little bitty thing in her crib, okay? And now she's standing and talking and being in the mic and being on camera.
I mean, we can go on and on forever with things like this.
Well, the beauty about it, we're speaking life into a darkness. We're speaking light into it, light and life.
Right.
Okay, because we have been in darkness for a long time, devastated by it, not knowing if we were going to see light again.
Right.
Are we going to recover from this?
Right.
Is recovery possible?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest question we have today.
Right.
Is recovery from this madness even possible?
Right.
And you're here to tell the apathetic out here, yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah, and this is what it looks like.
Right.
And this is what we're doing in our recovery. We're taking care of our little babies, okay? And we're trying to help the children that we didn't spend the time with because we was living lost.
Right.
You see, and that's the truth. And they may not like it, but the young people respect that.
Right.
They respect that more than you just giving them little homie.
Right.
That kind of...
They respect the guidance.
Yeah.
Even more, and they start to see, because when you're in that darkness, you're so confused.
Yeah.
And then you're beginning to, well, what should I believe?
Yeah, where's my place?
Right.
Where do I belong?
Where do I belong?
Yeah, where do I belong?
Is this
what
really
am I
real?
supposed to do? Yeah.
Are they really true and sincere about what they're talking about? Is it about the money with them? Because a lot of people look at the movements like that. Oh, they're just about the money. They're not doing nothing. Or you could do something just for come out of your pockets for the community, and the rumors that get around. Oh, they got paid $20,000 to do that. And it's like, are you serious?
Somebody got paid $20,000. all the time I've been at this, I never heard anything like that. Right. Because funding is really difficult for legitimate organizations, and to be honest, we do have the sharks that think they're going to come in and get a paycheck, and they really need to know it doesn't work like that. Right. It does not work like that. Right. And so we want the sincerity, not the money sharks.
Right.
And we have to be honest about this. We have to look at the whole picture and be completely honest about what we have gone through.
Right.
She just introduced herself. Okay, because we... How close are we to out of time? We got 1 minute.
All right, I appreciate you. And thank you again, you guys, again, for the award. Really appreciate this. I'm going to cherish it. It's a memory and something to cherish for life.
Yes.
I didn't expect it.
I know. Well, that's why it's important. See,
yes.
Terrence, I've been at this a long time, and I've run across a lot of people, and some have sustained their place.
Yes.
Others have come for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And I wanted to acknowledge those that I've worked with for over 10 years.
Yes.
This is an over 10-year acknowledgement, like 15.
Right.
Yeah, we've been at it a while. And because you've been so important to people like me,
right.
I wanted you to know that you have value to us.
Thank you.
You have value, and so you can show little girl this video when she's 21.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be on TV,
Say bye-bye.
You got to say
bye-bye.
Say
bye-bye.
Thank you. Say thank you.
Don't play with
Say
the
thank
mic.
You, God. Amen.
Speak in it.
Say it. Okay.
God bless your community family. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week.
All right.